Yeah, this is Point Black. Coming in hard and off the car. Coming with the flow straight from the barrier. I'm coming with that heat from the street. Now today, we're going to explore many clips and many things that were said and evidence as we go along. Because you have to do research in order to reach to a certain point where you understand many things. Like I said, after the damage is done, and them saying that they are, looking out for our safety, you know what I'm saying? When you say those words, you're thinking that they're looking out for safety, same as you would say the word God, you know what I'm saying? You're thinking that they're talking about some kind of being or something that's greater than you. We all know that that is a possibility, but not on the basis of any God in which man has produced as a means of saying there is or there isn't. You know what I'm saying? Is man speaking for God? And in many ways, you know what I'm saying, him speaking for God, you know what I'm saying, does not lead to any scientific understanding that is justified. What the heck is this? That is justified in the fact of the matter of proving that point. So when they say they're looking out for our safety and many things like these type of words, they may sound truthful, but it's really making the truth, it's really making a lie sound truthful. You know what I'm saying? In more ways than one. This is one of the demons, democratical, great psychological rules that they have always used against the people and still using and the enemies of us. But in this clip, we're going to check out clips today because we want these clips to, everybody to speak, especially the women. You know what I'm saying? We want them to have a voice. It's very important that these women have a voice in all ways. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to check out, many little clips today that needs to be checked out and should have been checked out. So it should be watched so we know where we're going and the direction that we need to be heading in all ways. So here we go. Hold up a minute. See if I get me a little clip on here.
Back at it again, and I came across this video clip that is absolutely amazing. Amazing. Not a very, very long video clip. It's only a few minutes long, but incredible clip that I wanted to share with you guys. In this video clip, this is a black woman by the name of Trisha Lindsay. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. I'm sorry, Ms. Lindsay, if I'm mispronouncing it, but she is running for state senate in New York in the 37th district, okay? And what she says in this video is, I completely agree with everything that she has to say. It's completely on point, 100% on point. I also believe she is a civil rights attorney as well, and, so she knows a little something about what she's speaking about. I guess I could say she's also a Republican, although once you watch this clip, you'll know she's a Republican by, some of the things that she's speaking about. It's going to be blatantly obvious, so, but it's an incredible clip that I wanted to share with you guys, and I think, America needs to see this video clip because it's really, really important what she's talking about here. So, with that being said, let's dive in.
Under authority. They have power. There are higher magistrates and there are lesser magistrates. The founding fathers of this country understood that there's going to come a point in time where the federal government will need to be checked. If not, they will become tyrants. And that is what's happening now. So, the Declaration of Independence says that everyone, by virtue of being a human being, has the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The federal government, too, the federal government, their purpose is to protect the rights of those citizens, the rights of us to our life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. The third point of that document is if they fail to protect its citizens and enforce those rights, the citizens have a right to revolt. You understand? We have a right to resist, and we have an obligation and a duty to do so. You go for its children. When in the world do we start using children as bulletproof vests for us?
Yeah.
When in the world do we start testing things on children?
Legal shield.
Us first. And when you come for our children, you have started a war. And they have declared war. And we are answering to that war.
The day you get your Clear Choice dental implants changes your struggle with missing teeth forever.
And we are answering to that war. We are magistrates, and I need you, each one reach one and teach one. Do you understand? As a magistrate in this country, the United States government, our local leaders have to answer to us. The 9th Amendment says that any rights that are not enumerated in the Constitution are reserved for the people.
The people.
I don't want to hear that mandates are not enumerated in the Constitution, because the fact that it's not enumerated means that that authority and those rights go to us. Every one of these mandates are illegal. Every single one of them. Under that 14th Amendment, due process and right to equal protection is the right to protect my body. When you want to push something into my body against my consent, without my consent, it is rape. And this is medical rape.
I told y'all. She was on fire, wasn't she? I'm telling you. You know, I just find it funny how, you know, Democrats always come up with this talk of, you know, Trump's the tyrant, Trump's the dictator, he wants to be the authoritarian, he wants to rule over America. But the reality is Democrats. It's Democrats. It's Democrats who were for, you know, the mandatory jabs. And we have the video footage of mainstream media calling people terrible folks if they didn't want to get the jab, the anti-vaxxers, right? And making it seem as if, you know, because people wanted to use their right to choose, right? It's funny. It's also funny how they, you know, bring that one up. When it came to the jab, you were a terrible person if you chose, but they want the right to be able to choose to abort kids, but you didn't really have the right to choose to not get the jab. Well, and if you did, they ridiculed you and tried to call you a terrible person and tried to tell you, hey, you couldn't do this, you couldn't do that, you had to stay in the house and this. Like, no right to choose there, but, you know, we want the right to choose to get rid of these kids. It's funny how that works. But anyway. Oh, man. The hypocrisy is rich. Anyway. You know, so there's an example of them wanting to be authoritarians. Another great example is, actually, I might make a video on that. It's when they always try to, and I've shown video clips of it as well. When they always try to say, oh, we're not going to broadcast what Donald Trump is saying. He's broadcasting lies. Like, who made them the arbiters of truth? Who told them that they get to decide what we see and hear?
That's a
You see what I'm saying? But Republicans and Trump are the authoritarians, but they're trying to decide whether or not we get to see or hear whatever it is that Trump has to say. You know, that's quite interesting to me.
Sound
quite
like
interesting.
Nazism.
Goodness gracious! I mean, there's so much hypocrisy going on with these folks. It's absolutely insane. So much hypocrisy. You know, it's fine. It's fine to speak your mind as long as you don't speak about certain groups. The moment you do, oh, well, you're a terrible person, blah, 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 you need to be shunned off to the corner of society, blah, 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 you know, the whole nine. You know, there's just so many instances of hypocrisy in these folks wanting to be dictators.
That's right.
Absolute dictators. You know, and I've said this for a while now, the strategy that they've come up with using to become more authoritarian, to reign over us even more, is the whole line of keeping us safe. Be careful when you hear that line, or, you know, something similar. Keep us safe. The most recent example was the whole TikTok ban. And I explained my reasoning as to why that was terrible. And I showed you guys the document, right? What people didn't realize about that whole TikTok ban was there was something in the fine print of it. While everybody was, well, not everybody, but while some people that were for the TikTok ban were completely, you know, focused on, oh, well, China is getting our information, blah, blah, blah. Well, a lot of these companies collect our information regardless. So just because TikTok isn't doing it, that doesn't mean Instagram, Facebook, you know, and whatever other apps you may use aren't collecting your data as well. So, like, for me, like, it just, whatever. Do I like it? No, of course not. But I know all of these other apps do it already, so it's not like the end of the world. But what they did was they sewed in, and I forgot the exact wording, and you could look this up, but they sewed in, you know, something into that bill where if a social media company is interfering in an election, they can basically force the sale of that company. So if Joe Biden wins, right, when he wins and X is forced to be sold, I told you so. Now, I highly doubt that he will win. According to all the metrics, all the video clips, I highly doubt that he will win. I'd be willing to bet that he isn't. But in the case that he did, when he wins, I guarantee you, Elon will be forced to sell X because of that bill. You know, but that was all to keep us safe, remember? Even with the jabs, it's to keep us safe, right? It's just taking away more from us. All in the name of keeping us safe. So I just urge you to just be careful whenever you hear, you know, that type of line or a line similar to that, because I don't think they used that line with the whole TikTok ban, but they just said our data was possibly being compromised, you know? So it was basically along the same lines, to keep us safe. But in reality, they just snuck a little something in there, a little Trojan horse. So when the time comes, if it ever comes, they're able to take advantage of it. Yeah. It's unfortunate, but shout out to Trisha Lindsay. Shout out to Trisha Lindsay. Matter of fact, I'll pull up. And I don't think I follow her on X. But let me see if I can find her really quickly, so I can pull up her actual X account. Does she have one? Yes.
Story about four top Democrat leaders arrested and charged today, tied to election fraud. I'm gonna get into this real quick, guys. Let me say, guys, thank you so much for those of you guys that support the channel. Please do me a favor, make sure you are subscribed. Check right now, make sure you are subscribed. I know many of you guys that think you are not, and then also push that little button for notifications so that you don't miss a thing. So there were four election officials, 4 top Democrats in Bridgeport, Connecticut, that were charged and arrested today. Now, interesting thing about it was this was from way back when in 2019. They were charged because they were misusing, fraudulently, I might add, the state's absentee ballot system. Why is it that it's always tied to this? You would imagine that with so much wrongdoing and so much shenanigans taking place, why not just do away with the absentee voting altogether? If it's not important enough for you to actually show up and vote, then it's not important enough to you to actually care about what's going on in your country, with exception to people who are not in the country serving overseas and what have you. But because I don't feel like going, so I'm not going to go, I'm just going to fill out this piece of paper and mail it in, can't happen. So these people were taking ballots, filling out ballots for other people. They were stuffing ballots. They were doing the same things that we've seen time and time again, but these people were ahead of it. They were doing a dry run ahead of the following year in 2020. But this was for a mayoral primary race that was taking place. So they were trying to get things ready for 2020, and they've been under investigation all this time. But it didn't stop them from doing the exact same thing in 2023. It got so bad in 2023 that the judge had to overturn that election. But why didn't the Democrats talk about this? I'm sorry. Why didn't the media talk about this? Because this is big. We've been talking about this for years now. Everybody knows that it's an issue, but no one wants to talk about it because, at the end of the day, we can't let those weirdos on the right think that they were right. But we already know we're right. We already know what's going on. And this is why I'm saying, guys, as long as we do what we're supposed to do, as long as we show up,
that's right,
and show out for our candidates, we are going to have a fantastic year. But we have to show up, we have to volunteer, we have to show up, and we have to vote. We need to vote early, right? We need to make sure that we are flooding the ballots. We need to make sure we are passing those ballots around. We're going to use the same system that they use, and I was against it. I was totally against it. I don't want to use that system. You know what? Look, if they're going to use it, we're going to use it also. Trust me, if we win at their game, they will fix the system. I guarantee it. They're not going to allow us to best them at their system. But this is why they are freaking out. They are freaking out over Trump. They are freaking out over MAGA. They are freaking out over America First because they see that their game is coming to an end.
That's right.
This is why they want you to be depressed. This is why they want you to feel hopeless, because they know they cannot use the same shenanigans again. We are on to the game. We are beating them at the game. This comes on the heels of what I talked about yesterday in Texas. This comes on the heels of the election official in Wisconsin being put in jail. Guys, this is big stuff because it's happening on the local level, and this is going to have wide consequences throughout the country this November. Let me know what you guys think. Comment below, but we are winning. We must win. America is still worth saving.
Now here's another interesting one that I find very interesting. You know what I'm saying? And if you could see in much of the write-up here on Doc Rich joint, you know what I'm saying? Because you got to let other people have that limelight. You can't just want to be greedy and be limelighting yourself in selfishness, you know, because he's limelighting in his own right, you know what I'm saying, in itself. So let's share this understanding of what you have. Like you said, Malcolm X tried to tell us all along, I guess. You know what I'm saying? Yes, he did. In more ways than one, Malcolm did just that. In all ways, he spoke the truth down to the letter. You know what I'm saying? Old Red never let us down. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So right now, this is one of the things that everybody was going around saying, how he's an insurrectionist, how he did this, how he did that, yada, yada, yada. So in this one, let's really see what Doc Rich have to say about that situation. in all ways. So here we go.
Yeah, that nigga KRS-One is really confused about.
Hold on a minute.
Yeah, that nigga.
So the narrative has been that Trump incited J6 and that he told those people to go break into the Capitol. He never said be peaceful. They also said that Trump never told them to.
Hold up a minute. Let's take that from the top. Let's take that from the top because I like to get every intricate in there.
So the narrative has been that Trump incited J6 and that he told those people to go break into the Capitol. He never said be peaceful. They also said that Trump never told them to go home and he never told them to be peaceful. Well, here's proof that he actually did.
You have to go home now. We have to have peace. We have to have law and order. We have to respect our great people in law and order. I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard. We have to have peace. So go home. We love you, but go home and go home in peace.
Well, you tell me what you think about that clip in all ways, because they act as if like he's an insurrectionist and he never said anything peaceful, go home, leave it alone, yada, yada, yada. It was all about an insurrectionist and tearing it up. So we see now the truth in itself, because like I said, they usually after all the damage is done, then they come out, you know what I'm saying? So we know it's a bunch of bullshit in itself, but, you know, we're just checking it out as we go.
There's no blanking the fact.
I don't know, but did Joe Biden just have another repeat the line moment? You tell me. Check it out.
More people die from extreme heat than floods, hurricanes, and tornadoes combined. Say that again. Combined, more people die from heat than those three other major issues. And look, right.
I don't know, but did Joe Biden just have another repeat the line moment? You tell me. Check it out.
More people die from extreme heat than floods, hurricanes, and tornadoes combined. Say that again. Combined, more people die from heat than those three other major issues. And look, right.
I don't know.
Here's the reason why we must get Donald Trump reelected as president this year. Check this out.
Do you hope Donald Trump wins in 2024, and how can his administration help bring peace?
When Donald Trump was president, we had a peaceful world. Everyone said if he was elected, we would have World War III. Meanwhile, he gets elected, and he not only is the first president in decades to not start any wars, he's making peace deals, he's making trade deals, he's working with our allies, getting them to pay their fair share, having a dialogue with China, with Russia, he's weakening Iran. And so I do think that the job he did as a foreign policy president was tremendous. I think now more and more people are starting to recognize that. Again, under President Biden, this is the second war that's broken out in the world. And when you have a weak American leadership, the world becomes a less safe place. And so my hope and prayers are that President Trump is reelected and that he's able to then restore order and calm and peace. And
here's
the United States of America, most powerful country, the United States of America.
Another reason why we need to get Donald Trump back in the White House. Check this out.
Thank you. Thank you. Is this your family?
This is.
This is a nice looking family, huh?
Say hi.
Beautiful.
Can they stand next to you real fast?
Come on, let's go. Get over here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Make sure y'all hit that subscribe button. Another reason why we need to get Donald Trump back in the White House. Check this out.
Thank you. Thank you. Is this your family?
This is.
This is a nice looking family, huh?
Say hi.
Beautiful.
Can they stand next to you real fast?
Come on, let's go. Get over here.
Thank you.
This soldier was made fun of for believing. This soldier was made.
There's no blinking the fact that for the first time in American history, we do have a presidential administration that's working to put its opponent in jail. I mean, that's a fact. And that, an opponent who's a former president of the United States. Now, as I understand the facts, Jack Smith was the principal player in the IRS targeting of the Tea Party. He was a well-established record of prosecutorial abuse. And yet you appointed him to prosecute the former president of the United States, who happens to be running against your boss. Now, this is entirely your work, including approving an unprecedented search of a former president's home. And though you've just maintained that the local prosecutors are independent, it's a fact that in the Manhattan case, the third-ranking official in your department left it to join the local prosecutor's office to spearhead the New York prosecution. There's no blinking the fact that for the...
Yeah, right. The news. Yeah, right. They all just read off the same script. But they say mainstream media is extremely trustworthy. The news. Yeah, right. They all just read off the same script. Check out this clip.
Jessica Headley.
And I'm Ryan Wolf.
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our Treasure Valley communities, the El Paso, Las Cruces communities, Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But
we are concerned about one-sided news stories plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and false
news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own.
But they say mainstream media is extremely trustworthy.
Tonight is more of the same. It was a slow start. There's no question about that, but I thought it was a strong finish. And what we saw tonight is more of the same. Joe Biden fighting for the American people, Donald Trump fighting for himself. Not to mention on the issue of choice. There was a very clear contrast.
So about halfway through the debate, we started hearing from Biden's campaign that he had a cold as sort of an explanation for what we were witnessing. President Biden confirmed that he was sick himself after the debate. You heard there the vice president say Biden had a strong finish, but he stumbled through his closing statement right at the end.
You don't know about the child that was killed? The 12-year-old girl in Houston that was tortured?
Strangers. I don't even know who you are. I don't know who...
Hey. This guy's
Can I ask you quickly about the 12-year-old girl in Houston that was tortured?
To strangers. I don't even know who you are. I don't know who she is. I live in Pittsburgh.
Okay, but there was a child who was killed at the...
I don't know anything about it.
You don't know about the child that was killed by illegal immigrants?
You know, that is an outrageous response from a public official about a child murdered.
If you don't know that specific case, at least pivot and say, this is what we're doing about the border. We realize this is a problem, and gloss over it, your ignorance, if you will. But she was rude to Hillary, and she didn't know who that little girl was.
Can I ask you quickly about the 12-year-old girl in Houston that was tortured?
To strangers. I don't even know who you are. I don't know who she is. I live in Pittsburgh.
Okay, but there was a child who was killed at the...
I don't know anything about it.
You don't know about the child that was killed by illegal immigrants?
Solely isolated to incidents where a black life is...
Hey, this guy's on point. Argue with your mama if you disagree.
Really cared about black lives. Why would it be solely isolated to incidents where a black life is taken at the hands of a white cop? That happens less than 1%. Come on. Now, wait. Now, I like to equate this to, it's the same as if I was in a horrific accident. I have a massive head wound. I have a leg fracture and a scratch on my finger. And here come the first responders, and they want to tend to the scratch on my finger. And I'm telling you, what about the wound on my head? What about my fractured leg? That's what the BLM movement is. They're tending to the scratch on my finger, and that's not even what it's about. If you want to help us, let us tell you how you can help us. Don't come in and tell us how you want to help us, and don't tell me that I'm oppressed, because I'm not oppressed. I'm a black American. I'm a proud black American. I'm not oppressed. I'm not oppressed. I'm one of the freest persons on this world.
Come on. Kneel for no man. I only kneel to God.
As you can see,
no one has a privilege over me except for God.